say welcome to Financial Insights Media Workshop. Today's agenda will be focusing on the future in mining and energy. So we've come here today to try and sit together in a room where we can more or less explain and hear more about other people's insights, because it's always better to hear a fresh perspective from the next person. So to begin everything, I'm going to invite the CEO and founder of Financial Insight, Mr. Mwelwa Chibesakunda, just to give some opening remarks. If we could just give him a round of applause.
I think this has been yet another major assignment, for the media machine. But before I get started, I would first of all love to welcome our friends from Zambia, as well as our invited media who have, graced us, with their presence on our first international, workshop. Just to give a bit of background, the whole purpose of the media workshop is obviously to provide a safe space where ideas can be shared, but more importantly, where brands can interface with the media. One of the things that Financial Insight has had the privilege of is, being able to cover some of the majors in terms of major companies in energy, banking, mining, agriculture. And we just felt that, with the privilege of access that we have had up until now, it is important to share with our colleagues in the media. So I'd like to thank, all the South African media that have actually, come to be here. This is obviously an open forum. What we are hoping for is that you have certain key takeaways to understand, what is obviously driving, some of the aspects of mining from a Zambia perspective, and that will give it context, because obviously mining is an African thing. And before I continue, I'd just like to thank all, our sponsors that have, enabled us to ferry the media machine to South Africa. I think show of hands, guys, if you're from Zambia. Show of hands if you're from Zambia. Okay, great. All right. So, yeah, thank you so much, for coming. On top of that, I'd also like to thank the FI South Africa team. Show of hands, South Africa team, South Africa. Yes, and credit to Lady Amanda here, who is our moderator for mobilizing. That I'm deeply grateful for the hard work that you've been pushing. So anyway, like I said, this is not my show. This is for our friends and partners who have come to share their ideas. So all I can ask is that you be immersed with the experience, and just as a heads up, we do have all the productions put on the Financial Insight ecosystem. We have the flagship site, which is financialinsight.africa. Then we also have our growing YouTube channel as well, where all the videos are going to be put. So we kind of go through that extra mile, because we know that packaging media in a very nice way, so that it's easy to consume, is good. And we're hoping that the body of knowledge that comes out of these deliberations is something that our friends in the media can actually use, especially when they're thinking about mining and energy, about Zambia. So without further ado, as they say, let the show begin.
We're going to have just a few words from Ms. Kasweka Konga. She is with Enterprise Power, and she will be giving us just a few words before we can dive into our panel discussion. If we could just give her a round of applause as she walks to the stage.
And welcome everybody to the Financial Insights Workshop, Media Workshop on Energy and Mining. My name is Kasweka Konga, just as she's said, just as Chewe said, and I'm with Enterprise Power. Some background on Enterprise Power is that we're a regional power trading company. We have offices in Zambia and the DRC, and we source power from the region to power the mines, particularly the mines in the DRC and those in the northwestern province of Zambia. The business model essentially is also created to focus on investing in transmission infrastructure, because one of the things that you do need as you grow your mining sector, or as we're trying to grow our mining sector, is for the electrons to be able to flow. And as much as we can get generation off the ground and have many generation projects, if we have no transmission, we can't supply the mines, and they can't grow ultimately to the demands that they need to the outputs that they need to have. So we've been developing a transmission line, which is going to connect at Kalumbila in the northern province to Kolwezi in the Katanga province of the DRC, and this is set to be approximately 200 kilometers, and will be at commercial operation date in Q4 of 2027 stroke Q1 of 2028, it just depending on how fast we can get some equipment.
So we will quickly move into our panel discussion. So I will invite Ms. Amanda to just briefly introduce us and usher us into the session before we begin. If we could just give her a round of applause while she comes to the stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chewe. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for being here today. Let me start off by saying mining Indaba is quite a thing, isn't it? I think whether you're inside mining Indaba and you're walking those halls, or whether you're outside mining Indaba and you're doing all your business deals outside, it has been such a production. And I'd like to firstly just say thank you to the Zambian team, number one, and number two, for us as Financial Insight being able to cover it and be able to talk to our clients during this time. Thank you so much. Can we give them a round of applause? So while I'm about to take on a very, very humongous task of inviting our clients onto the stage, I think, I think even if you looked at the video and you have no idea what it is that they were saying in terms of the fact that, technology decided to say, hello, today is the last day of mining Indaba, because they're also tired, right? That's how it works. But I'd like to say to you, thank you so much for everybody who is here tonight, today. I thought it was tonight already. It's that time of the day. So I'd like to introduce our very, very good client, Stanbic, to the stage. It's Mr. Musenge Komeki. He is the head of global market sales at Stanbic Bank. Thank you so much. Give him a round of applause. And then obviously she said quite a lot about where they're going in terms of our client in Npower. And I'd like to introduce to the stage Ms. Kasweka Konga, Legal Counsel and Project Manager of Npower Zambia. And then I'd like to see if I've got my client here, and she's probably going to walk very slowly to the stage. Her name is Mrs. Chilombo Malama Chijikwa. She's got a very double-barrel surname, which is nice. I like that. Mining and real estate attorney partner at Chibesakunda and Company, CCO in short. All right. It turns out she's not here, so lady and gentlemen, you've got me for today. I'll put you in the hot seat for everything. Right. Thank you so much. My name is Amanda Mwelwa, and I am the chapter lead for South Africa Financial Insights, and we are so grateful that you're all here. Thank you, my CEO, and thank you for everything that you have done to get us here. So let's get to it. Mining Indaba. I've just got a couple of questions to ask, and I think you've seen some of the energy at Mining Indaba, so I'll start with you as Standard Bank. How you looked at the agenda, you looked at obviously through the partnerships, and you looked at the theme of Mining Indaba. So I'm not going to speak to anything. I think as media, we've all been wanting to ask the right questions to our clients, right? We'd like to hold them responsible, but also at the same time, we'd like them to be represented well. That's what the Mining Indaba is about. It's an opportunity to meet other businesses, but to also showcase your level of understanding of what it is about in Mining Indaba. So here we are. So, Mr. Musenge, how can banks facilitate partnerships that both de-risk investment and ensure benefits for local communities?
I think for the banking sector, we are the core. We're the center of bringing the investors, bringing the mines, and the community, more importantly. So when we provide the financing, or when we provide the solutions that need to develop not just the mine, not just a return to the investor, not just a development to the community, we need to embed those things at the start of the project or at the start of financing. Basically, what we're trying to do there is we're trying to internalize ESG into the mine. As you know, we've got a few instances in Zambia recently where there's been pollution and all those things. But you notice that what as a bank, sorry the video didn't play, but I think the commitment for us in that video is we'll keep supporting the mining sector. We support the mining sector in several ways. One way is obviously having been part of the financing for the 100 megawatts Chisamba solar plant, providing electricity to the mines. The other way has been part of the dual carriageway, way to free up logistics, make it more efficient. We're trying to get involved into the other rail projects that are on the table. But for us, we're cognizant of the community in which the mines operate. And what we're saying is we need to put certain frameworks. Case in example would be if it's ECG compliant, it becomes cheaper. True. Just as it becomes cheaper, I think the auditing of the mine is there, so it allows us to internalize it into the mine for the benefit of the whole society. So that's where we're going. That's how we're trying to do it.
You've mentioned a lot of ESG, and I think this is quite a great opportunity for me to get my colleague over here because, they look at a lot of these things of how to legalize it and how to make it. So my question to you is that when it comes to compliance around ESG, licenses and cross-border legal considerations, what do you see the future like and in what areas would need to evolve or mature or promote the very same investment into the mining?
So I'll look at this from an energy perspective and not necessarily a mining perspective. So one of the things that you know is that energy and mining can't not coexist. You need, in order for you to be able to extract your critical minerals, for instance, or any minerals actually, you need the energy sector to be able to provide reliable, cost-effective power, which is going to be available for most mines that are extracting the critical minerals at a base load level. So you have a lot of developers who are now coming on board from more of a regional perspective. In the way that the market has opened up, it allows for trading of power at a more regional level, in that you're shifting your electrons to where they need to be. And this is where the benefit of the SAP has been, which is the Southern African Power Pool. And for those who may not know, or I'm sure everybody knows, that NTCSA began its operations recently, and they've been going cross country to all the SAP countries to introduce themselves, and they're with ESCOM to just show how they are going to be working together with the SAP. So what we're seeing in the market is this shift from looking at power as something that you need as a country for yourself and for your consumption only within the country, to a more regional look and a more partnership look, where it's electrons that are moving from where they can be generated. There's a lot of hydro generation in countries like Angola, yes, and Mozambique, Zambia, Zimbabwe. Then you have a lot of coal in Zimbabwe, South Africa, Botswana, which can then create this shifts in moving the power. So we're not only looking at just solar power development for consumption in your country. Yeah. So the laws and the regulations are changing to allow for this shift for a more regional outlook as opposed to the national one. And this has then made, in order for you to ensure your project bankability, like he said, you need to be able to meet those ESG requirements. So those are being embedded in the moments that the developers are now doing their development works. So you have compliance standards that they need to meet in order for them to have the financing. So even us as off-takers look at that. If the bank can't finance you, if we can't sit with the bank and you, then we can't off-take from you.
I think the conversation is quite great because I think now the biggest question that I have now that you talk about regional and you also talk about collaboration and you also talk about the off-takers. So I'm going to ask you, my kind sir from Standard Bank, what innovative financing structures will be prudent for Zambia going forward, especially now that the country has achieved a lot of economic stability, right? I mean, we saw the president, he was giving the keynote address at Mining Indaba, which is a very strong position for Zambia. And now, how would that help Stanbic to be able to support collaborative mining projects? And I mean, looking at what our colleague has just said, I think that's a very relevant question right now.
I think what has happened in the economy and what it has brought is a lot of investment, not investment opportunity, but the right climate for investment. And we can see all we needed to do is get our fiscus right. You can see all the macroeconomic indicators are showing the right kind of signal that there's an economy which is on the rise. There's investor confidence coming into the country. With that investor confidence, we've seen a lot of investment into the mines, obviously driven by the high copper prices. But that high copper price that attracted investments into the mines, what that has done now is a lot more needs to grow with the mines. The mines might be getting the dollars out of Europe or parent, but the guys, the subcontractors, the mines who have on their books, they need to grow with the mine. And those guys now need that financing from us. And usually that's where you get an impediment of single obligor limits, like you can only lend to a certain extent. And then that's where collaboration comes in. It can come in the form of us and our parent in South Africa, because there's a bigger balance sheet. We can do that collaboration, we can share the loan. We can actually do it within the banks. We've done that before. The Zanaco, Stanbic, Invest Trust, FNB, all those banks coming together to finance a huge project. I think there's recently a huge project which was financed by all the banks. And the way the economy is growing, these big deals just keep popping up. And to de-risk on a singular basis would be to share the risk. And that's the best way to get these deals through the door. And that's how it's going to be, I think, going forward. We just have to work as an industry and as with our parents. A few of us have got parents with big balance sheets. They can support that growth. But it doesn't mean we can't collaborate, even as local Zambian banks. And the framework, I think, we're in the right environment at the moment, where we've got a government which, to me, has focused a lot of its efforts in getting the economy right. It has brought back a lot of confidence. It's bringing in a lot of investors. So us as banks, now we need to sit there and tell the investor, when you put your money in this company or this mine, to be ACG compliant, to protect the environment, there'll be benefits for the locals. And it just tells a good story, but it's not just telling good stories. And investors will getting their return in what I can call a more peaceful mind, knowing that things are being done correctly. Yeah, so that's where we shall continue playing our role.
my last question is not even going to be a question. I think it's just a position to say you've spoken about a good story to tell. You've spoken about the fact that there's an opportunity to find a different way to collaborate, and now you've got the power to be able to do all of this. So I'm going to ask my colleague over here, what impact does Npower, because obviously you're obviously one of the biggest companies that we've also seen growing in Zambia as well. So what impact does Npower see in projects such as the ones that my colleague has just spoken about, such as the Kolwezi Kalumbila transmission line, in enabling joint initiatives? He's spoken about joint initiatives in terms of how he wants to look at how the risk can be sort of allocated differently. But how do you see that in terms of the mining ecosystem?
The way that the transmission line is designed is that it's got an off-taker. So the off-taker is a mining entity. So when you speak about innovation and how you're going to do innovative financing, you are seeing energy companies such as ourselves collaborating with the mining companies. The business for mines is not to get involved in the energy space. They don't want to create their own generation infrastructure. They want to just focus on mining. Yes. That is their business, on the operations. So you see a lot of collaborations, such as with this particular transmission project, which is backed by one of the largest mines in Congo to enable the financing. So you are then seeing a lot more collaborations and partnerships between the financing space, the energy space, as well as the miners in creating that single seamless value chain in order for them to also focus on their business, which is mining. And it works well for us energy companies because we're able to offtake from many different generators, and in a way that allows us to sort of be able to provide multiple different mines with power. So as opposed to focusing on just a single customer with a back-to-back agreement, we're able to procure from multiple people, de-risking also energy projects, because they know that if a mine collapses, or if it's a back-to-back agreement and that mine collapses, or that mine maybe has reached the peak of its mineral outputs, they know as generators that these electrons will go somewhere else. And this also makes the banks more comfortable to finance projects. So you have a lot more joint ventures. And I think the theme for this year's Mining Indaba, the Stronger Together Through Partnerships, has definitely been highlighted in the energy crises that was experienced in South Africa, that was experienced throughout the Southern Africa region, and in opening innovation to allow for new concepts to develop, to allow for more regional collaboration, which is what has brought us here. Yeah. And I think we're only going to continue to grow better from here, bigger and better from here.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to ask them a last question, which I know that they didn't prepare for. So, through this Mining Indaba of 2026 that you have come to and you have absolutely enjoyed, can you tell us if there's one thing that you'd like to highlight and say, this was your highlight and this is it for you, and that 2027 Mining Indaba, when you come back, you will come and sort of show us that you've done more for that. So just one.
There are a lot of meetings, but I think the good thing about those meetings is there was something very tangible that came out of them. There are a few financing proposals we have on the table, which hopefully by the next Mining Indaba would have financed those and allowed the companies to grow at the same pace as the mines. So it was a very, very productive meeting. It's strange that when we sit around the table and discuss things which people are coming out of Quito, coming out of Lusaka, we've spoken on the phone, and then you come and sit down around, and then in a split second, let's say a few minutes, you're on the same page, you're agreeable to what we need to do. So going back to Osaka, we know exactly what we need to do to help our clients. So next year, when we come, I want those guys to say we want another facility to keep pace with the mines.
So I think my big takeaway is that the word collaboration is no longer the buzzword. You don't just hear collaboration. Yes. It's now a baseline. We need to be able to collaborate in order for us to achieve our goals of, whether it's for Zambia, the goal is to get to 3 million tons of copper production. In South Africa, I think I heard the Minister of Mineral Resources say that there's efforts. The Minister of Energy actually was talking about bringing in transmission lines and expanding the transmission grid in order for the mining production to become a lot more resilient. So all these things are going to have to be done through consolidated efforts between the government, the financiers, the energy producers, the miners themselves, as a collaborative single effort. So it's no longer the buzzword, but it's the baseline. So that's my takeaway.
As we hear baselines, and I think as media we've heard these things so many times, but I love the fact that it's been practical for our two clients. And I can only wish that this year becomes so successful for you that when you come back to Mining 2027, that we see so much more coming out of you. And obviously your success is our success. And thank you so much for collaborating with us as Financial Insights. And as you can see, we always collaborate. So AfricaWorks is collaborating with us at the moment in terms of making sure that this particular part of why we can host our own media and our own media counterparts, for us to have this kind of discussion is also possible. So thank you so much for joining me on the couch for today.
We are now at the end of our program, and I will invite Adhéaume, the COO of AfricaWorks, to just come and give us a few words to close.
Okay, so thank you everyone for your presence today. Thank you for Financial Insights for organizing this conference. This partnership brings a lot to the continent, to Zambia, to South Africa, and all the other countries where we operate in. We all know currently the world is facing challenges, but those challenges, for the first time, represent an opportunity for us to change the perception of risk. This continent is not as risky as it was. And it's us, decision makers, business leaders, that can make a difference. And you all being here today, interacting, meeting, networking, is us making a difference. So thank you very much, and please keep it going.
Wow. I hope all of you found that quite insightful. I just forgot to mention, we had invited our two ministers of finance and Minister of Mines. Unfortunately, they had to leave early because they came in a little bit early. But I'd just like to take this opportunity to obviously thank our partners in the Media Workshop series, Npower, Stanbic Bank, and some of the others that are not here, CCO, and several others who have been supporting us through the Media Workshop series. I think for us it's just important that we continue to enlighten and tell the various stories that come out of our exposure to to the various events, and we do hope that you found this conversation quite useful. And on behalf of my team and the Media Machine, I would like to say a special thank you to our partners, AfricaWorks, for making it possible. A round of applause to AfricaWorks. The media show, the workshop series would never have been possible. I got a call just over a year ago, and they reached out to say, look, there's something in there, and they were brave enough to to accept my craziness. Some people describe me as the madman of media, but I am not afraid to do the unconventional, to try and bring knowledge and discourse to my peers in the media. And to the media that are attending, I'd like to say special thank you. Obviously, some of our delegates will stay over, so if you do have like some questions, it's just that we know that it's at the tail end. Everybody is tired. Some people will be rushing back to their hotels to pack their bags, but I think they'll stay. They'll stay for to answer a few questions, and you can exchange business cards, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Fingers crossed, we might have another session around Africa Energy Indaba, and yeah, we're certainly looking forward to that. Yeah, sure.
I would just like to recommend that. Is it working? Okay. Thank you so much. I want to suggest that before they start networking, to have an optic. Like a group picture this side, the entire team, that's number one. Number two, maybe 1 minute just to talk about what are some of the financial insight expansion plans. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I believe Chewe, Director of Programs, I think you had the photo up, but maybe just to share, like in terms of some of our plans. I mean, obviously now that we have a presence in South Africa, we're obviously trying to grow our reach in terms of bringing this type of media coverage, especially around events. I think some of you might be aware, Financial Insight is a media management company, but I think one of our key focus areas has been exposing some of the insights that come out of events. I think we're one of the few media companies that from day one to the final day, we're in the panel discussions. We are listening in and capturing, the various content that comes from the keynote speeches. And, we've availed the platform to be able to expose, all the insights there. But I think if there's one product that I'm very excited about that I'm hoping that we can bring to South African events is the Pulse. The Pulse is our conference newspaper. We have developed an in-house methodology that's technology-powered. Our CFO, Clarence Chongo, is responsible for that work stream. We have students that we've enrolled, from various backgrounds, from journalism to engineering and economics, that are actually churning out articles aided by AI. And the content is purely out of the conferences. We're able to turn around these conference newspapers in the shortest possible time. And we've been developing and honing our skills. So we're hoping that you will be able to see a conference newspaper coming out of Financial Insight's coverage of future events. And I think we're already locked in for Africa Energy Indaba. So my team and I will be in Cape Town again. Yes, we love Cape Town that much because you guys are just wonderful people. A round of applause for the Cape Town people. Yes, and I mean, this city is amazing, and I think it's one of the best places to to create content. So I'll now hand over to our Master of Ceremonies, Chewe. Thank you.
Okay, so we have officially reached the close of our workshop. Just to note that Financial Insight workshops are not only centered around mining and energy. We are planning to also continue to have workshops in agriculture, workshops in health, because every sector is very important. And like our CEO has already said, we are extremely grateful for sparing your time today. We are tired. We have gone through a lot, but we are still going through a lot, and we will continue to go through a lot because that's what it takes. So thank you very much. And on behalf of everyone from Financial Insight, as we always say, get to know.